Mom's been in an accident and taken to the hospital. Please take me there. I begged my husband through tears. I had just received a call that Mom had been in a traffic accident and was in critical condition unconscious. However, upon hearing the situation, my husband said, "I'm heading out on a company trip now, so it's impossible," and refused. No matter how much I pleaded, he just laughed it off as if it was a joke. To me, the trip is more important. I'm never going to visit her in the hospital. My name is Emily. I'm 29 years old. I married my husband, a year my senior, 2 years ago, and we both work full-time. John and I met in the same college club. Since the club had many members, it wasn't easy to talk to everyone. But we became close after sitting next to each other at a drinking party one day. We also discovered we both were only children who had lost our fathers early and were raised by our mothers, which quickly brought us closer. We started going out and naturally progressed to dating. Then, as we both became working adults and got accustomed to our jobs, John proposed. Both of us are focused on our careers, so we're not considering children just yet. However, we do want them eventually, so we've talked about buying a detached house when the time comes, a plan we made soon after getting married. Currently, we live in a rented apartment in a condominium, and both our parents' homes are nearby. Since both of our fathers have passed away, our moms live alone, and my mom, Jennifer, and my mother-in-law, Sarah, get along very well. Being close in age and having raised children alone without remarrying, they clicked and have become friends since our marriage meeting, even going on trips together. I was surprised they became so close, but I'm glad they met because Mom looks so happy with Sarah. Sarah has also taken a liking to me, and our relationship is good. However, John seems not to like that Sarah prioritizes Jennifer over him. John adores Sarah quite a bit. Even before we were married, it was clear how much he valued Sarah from his actions, and I could relate, coming from a single-parent family. But soon, after we started living together, I saw his true colors. One holiday, I received an email from my mom saying she was having lunch with Sarah, complete with a photo of them smiling. I remember seeing the text of the email saying I was having lunch with Sarah and a picture of the two of them smiling and how I naturally smiled. "Hey, John, look, Mom is out to lunch with Sarah. They sent a photo," I said, showing the image to John, who was at home, but he just clicked his tongue in annoyance. "What's that supposed to be? Some kind of jab at me?" "What are you talking about?" At that time, I didn't realize John disliked my mom. He didn't talk much in front of Mom, which I thought was due to the newness of our marriage and him feeling nervous. I never imagined he would resent my mom for being close with his own. "Because of her, Mom has been turning down my dinner invitations lately, saying she has plans with Jennifer or something. Doesn't your mom know how to keep her distance?" I was shocked to hear John thought this way and felt deeply hurt by his words about my mom. Sarah, too, seemed to have realized early on that John disliked my mom. Once, when the four of us were dining out and John made a snide remark towards Mom, Sarah couldn't bear it and scolded him. "John, what is this attitude towards Jennifer? Enough is enough." "What? You always side with her. Didn't you always say I was your precious son? Preferring someone you've recently become close with over your own son isn't funny at all." John argued back, but honestly, I found his attachment to Sarah to be unnervingly excessive. Later, when John wasn't around, Sarah apologized to me and Mom. "I think I've spoiled that boy too much. I'm truly sorry." "Sarah doesn't need to worry about it. I'm not worried either. John just loves Sarah a lot." My mom, who is usually calm and doesn't often get angry, showed an understanding demeanor towards John's behavior. But I could tell right away that deep down she was hurt. And John, without considering Mom's feelings, kept worsening his attitude day by day. Although Sarah defended Mom, preventing him from openly attacking her, he would complain to me every time he saw Mom and Sarah getting along well, and eventually, He started to regularly speak ill of Mom. Shortly after our second anniversary, I couldn't take it anymore and had a huge fight with John, which ended without resolving the underlying issue. Since then, our relationship became awkward and our conversations decreased compared to before. Lately, John's been coming home late and spending more time out on his own during weekends. I felt something was off and asked him directly, but he claimed, "I've been busy at work. There's been a lot of overtime and work on weekends lately." Even though he said that, I couldn't shake off my feeling of discomfort. Then one Sunday, when we both had the day off, I noticed John packing something in the morning. It seemed he didn't have to work that day. Just as I was about to ask why he was packing, my phone rang with an unknown number. Curiously, I answered to find out it was the police on the line. They mentioned Mom's name and confirmed I was her daughter before dropping the unbelievable news. "Your mom has been involved in a traffic accident." Mom has? Apparently, she was already taken to the hospital in critical condition unconscious. After getting the hospital's name, I managed to end the call with shaking hands. Tears welled up, and my mind was a mess. But I knew I had to get to the hospital. Since I don't drive, I desperately begged John. "John, it's terrible. Mom's been in an accident and taken to the hospital. Please, we need to go now." However, John looked at me with disdain upon hearing the situation and said, "Ugh, I'm about to go on a company trip. I'll miss the gathering time. Deal with it yourself." He flatly refused my plea. "A company trip? I didn't know it was today." I realized he was packing, but I was never informed about the trip's schedule. To my shock, he mentioned the trip was starting today and would last for 2 weeks. "This isn't the time for a trip. Mom is—" "Enough. The trip is more important to me. Besides, your mom is essentially a stranger to me, not related by blood. Visiting her is a waste of time, and I'm definitely not going." John said cruelly, laughing at me. "You're in the way. I have a plane to catch. I'm busy," he said, pushing past me and humming as he packed his clothes into a carry-on. Angered by his attitude, I snapped, "You're the worst. Just do whatever you want," and left the house, rushing to the hospital by taxi. John left for his trip as planned. He wouldn't know about the terrible situation that occurred while he was away. I tried calling John several times over the 2 weeks, but never got through. In the evening, 2 weeks later, John returned home in high spirits. I looked at him coldly. "I need to give Mom her souvenirs. I wonder how she's doing," he said optimistically, but I didn't respond and quietly followed him as he said we were going to his parents' house. On the way, John happily talked about the many souvenirs he brought for Sarah, without a single word of concern for my injured mom. Upon arriving and about to open the door, John paused. "Huh, why is it locked?" It seemed odd to him since the door is usually unlocked when Sarah is home. "Is Mom not here?" John muttered. I pushed past John, pulled out the spare key to his parents' house from my bag, and unlocked the door. "Hey, why do you have the house key?" I didn't respond. John, who entered the house before me, tilted his head in confusion when he realized Sarah wasn't there. As John started to head towards the living room, I stopped him. "It's not that way. This way," I said, guiding John. Inside the room, a brand new portrait of Sarah was displayed. John, speechless, began to tremble as he stared at a white box placed near the portrait. Then turning to me with tears in his eyes, he rushed towards the urn. "Hey, what's this all about? What's going on?" I sighed deeply, restraining my anger towards John, and explained. "Sarah passed away while you were on your trip. The funeral was already over," I informed him, to which John glared at me. "Don't joke around. This can't be happening. Why did Mom have to die? Wasn't it your mom who was in an accident and unconscious?" John's loud and disrespectful remarks filled me with disgust. but I calmly spoke about what happened after Mom's accident. My mom woke up safely after that. She's fractured and currently undergoing rehabilitation, but is gradually recovering. Thanks to the efforts of medical professionals, Mom was somehow saved, though she is still hospitalized. However, John seemed unconvinced. "Then why did Mom?" he asked. "It seems she was headed to our house on the day my mom had the accident. She fell from a pedestrian bridge." To which I replied, "You told Sarah you were going on a business trip, right?" Yes, I did tell her that." "Sarah had been suspicious of you lately. She noticed you were harder to reach. She probably wanted to check if the business trip was real." I explained, causing John to widen his eyes in surprise. A month ago, Sarah mentioned that John used to call or email her daily, but recently the communication had almost stopped. When Sarah tried calling, she couldn't get through, and if John did call back, he would say he was busy and hang up quickly. Sarah thought, "John is of a certain age, so it's understandable." But she couldn't shake off the suspicion that John might be hiding something. Fueled by mistrust, Sarah decided to verify the business trip herself. Coincidentally, when I received news of Mom's accident and was heading to our house, Sarah, who passed away, had bought a souvenir during her day trip with Mom last month, presumably intending to deliver it to us as a pretext for her visit. On that day, I was so distraught that I couldn't think of anything but rushing to the hospital, leaving no time to inform Sarah about Mom's accident. Sarah used a bus to get to the bus stop closest to our apartment and was walking from there. Apparently, she fell while climbing a pedestrian bridge. According to a witness, she missed a step just before reaching the top and tumbled down. An ambulance was called immediately, but she had suffered a severe head injury. Then Sarah passed away. After explaining everything to John, I glared at him intensely. "I called you several times after finding out about Sarah." For the past 2 weeks, no matter how I tried to reach out, John never answered the phone or replied to emails, and so Sarah's funeral went ahead without him. My mom was still in critical condition, and with the real son absent, we somehow managed to conclude Sarah's funeral amidst my unresolved feelings. "For the past 2 weeks, you've been ignoring my calls and hanging out. This incident has shown your true character. I'm divorcing you," I declared, and John collapsed on the spot, beginning to cry. "How can you say something like that right after Mom died? Divorce isn't something we should be discussing now, and I didn't contact you because I was always with colleagues, with no time to call." John sobbed, making excuses, which only angered me further. "Stop lying." I raised my voice, pulling out a sheet of paper from my bag and thrusting it in front of John. It was the schedule for the company trip I found in John's room. "This says the company trip was from the 12th to the 19th for a week. But you were gone from the 5th to the 19th. Right before leaving, you said the trip was for 2 weeks, didn't you? So where were you, and what were you doing during the first week from the 5th to the 12th? I know, you were cheating, weren't you? In that week, you were with your affair partner." I conveyed with certainty, and John, who had stopped crying, began to panic. "What are you talking about? I didn't cheat. I took some leave for the remaining week to travel with friends. See, work's been so busy lately, I needed a break." Fed up with John's continued excuses, I pulled out a smartphone from my pocket. Seeing it, John's face turned pale. This smartphone was John's, found in the closet while he was away on his trip. Probably there's another smartphone in John's bag, specifically prepared to communicate with his affair partner. Earlier, John claimed he couldn't contact me during the business trip due to lack of time, but he had left his usual smartphone at home, making it impossible to notice any calls. All you do is lie. You left the smartphone at home to spend time with your affair partner. As I placed the smartphone in front of John, he began to shake and slammed his fist on the floor. "Yeah, that's right. I've been fed up with you for a while now. I have someone else I love." He screamed as if defiant, and then, How did you know where to find the smartphone? Don't tell me you went through my room while I was gone. He bellowed, leaving me in disbelief. I glanced at Sarah's portrait. I'm sorry for showing you this in front of Sarah, and apologized in my heart for displaying such a scene in front of her. Sarah told me, I said, and John fell silent. After a big fight with John over my mom, he started coming home late and going out alone on his days off, claiming to work. With John being unreachable at odd times, I, filled with mistrust, consulted Sarah. Sarah, also suspicious of John, advised me. Since he was little, he had a habit of hiding things inconvenient for him. For example, tests with bad grades, or a glass cherished by his father that he broke by accident. He would hide those in the very back of the closet. If you find several towels there, it's likely he's hiding something inside. After Sarah's death, recalling her words, I searched John's closet and found the smartphone as expected. Mom told you about me? John, shocked that Sarah doubted him, was deeply disappointed. However, seeing him dejected didn't sway my heart. With this incident, I'll be filing for divorce and seeking alimony. I'm prepared to consult a lawyer and take this to court if necessary. I stated firmly, expressing my resolve. John groaned, but reluctantly agreed, realizing he couldn't escape the truth. Afterward, we properly divided our assets, and the divorce was finalized smoothly. However, a month later, when my new life finally began to settle, I received a call from John. Reluctantly answering, Emily, please, I need your help, John screamed. Upon inquiry, it turned out that his company had learned about Sarah's funeral, causing him great trouble. Since Sarah was listed as John's dependent, her death needed to be reported to his company, which hadn't been done until the funeral's details were accidentally revealed, showing the funeral happened during his supposed company trip. John was viewed as an unfilial and insensitive man by his colleagues for not attending his own mother's funeral. Yet John kept lying, blaming me for not informing him about mother-in-law's funeral, which only worsened his situation, as his explanations to colleagues and his boss were inconsistent, leading to his lies being exposed. Already viewed as an irresponsible man, John's repeated lies led people to doubt his character entirely, resulting in him isolating himself in the workplace and eventually resigning as if fleeing. Now, without an income, John is back living at his in-laws, surviving on Sarah's inheritance. But it's come out in the neighborhood that I didn't attend the funeral, making me feel even more out of place. I even thought about selling the house, but that's proving to be difficult. John is recognized by the neighbors as a no-good son, making it awkward for him to even walk outside. Thus, he had been planning to sell the in-laws' house and move, but the old house doesn't seem to be selling at all. I'm really struggling right now, so Emily, let's start over. Remarry me and let's live together. Hearing this, I felt disgusted. It's clear he's only proposing remarriage because he's found himself in a bind. Don't be ridiculous. I've had enough of you. I'll never remarry you. Please, I'm begging you. Without this, I don't care about you anymore. You should just live with your affair partner. The thing is, I've already broken up with her. It seems the affair partner found out about Sarah's funeral and, following that, discovered she was the other woman. John had hidden his marital status, leading to an angry breakup, leaving him alone. It's your fault. I don't want to be with someone like you either. Goodbye. As I was about to hang up. Wait, if you won't agree to remarry, I'll come to your house. You're at your parents' place, right? John said, but I'm not, I replied. Then where are you? I'm not going to tell you, and I've recently changed jobs, so waiting outside my old company is pointless. I've asked various people to call the police without hesitation if they see you coming. I decided to sell the family home to put some distance between John and me. However, the house being old meant it might not sell easily. So with Mom's agreement, we decided to demolish it and sell the land. Mom, who was recently discharged from the hospital, is deeply saddened by the loss of her dear friend Sarah. We moved to a quieter location to live together peacefully. Consequently, I quit my job and found new employment. Just tell me where you are, at least. I owe Jennifer a visit. John desperately tried to find my location, but his words only angered me. Owe her? After treating Mom like a nuisance? Don't start with your convenient words now. Mom said she never wants to see you again. Wait, just a minute. I mercilessly ended the call. Then I blocked his number and later changed mine. I later learned John was struggling to find steady work, surviving on day jobs and looking for full-time employment without the option to borrow money due to his joblessness. Mom and I have begun a new life in a new place, free from the stress of dealing with John. Mom hasn't visited Sarah's grave since she couldn't attend the funeral and has been busy with the move after her discharge. Still struggling to accept Sarah's death, Mom often cries looking at photos and videos of Sarah. I want to visit Sarah's grave soon, she said sadly, so I replied, Yes, let's go to the cemetery soon. Planning to ensure we don't run into John. I aim to support Mom and make our new life in this new place fulfilling.